Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for attending the webinar today. We're giving them just a couple more minutes for people to log in, so bear with us just another few more minutes and we'll be right with you. Thank you. Okay, everybody, thank you. We're going to go ahead and get started. Hopefully everybody can see my screen. Our webinar today is the service that supports the EHR software. My name is Monique Dever, and I'm going to be the moderator for today's webinar. Before we begin, I just want to kind of go through some of the dialogue issues, housekeeping. We have this little red arrow that will shrink and expand the dialogue box. This box is a little important. If you have questions, you can log them into the questions box at any time during the webinar. You will be on mute, so this questions box is important for you if you have questions. Go ahead and put those in any time during the presentation, and we will answer them at the end of the sessions. Let me get my mouse back over here. Presenting today is Ashok Mathur. He's our co-founder and CEO here at Patagonia Health. One of our core goals, company goals, is to achieve 100% customer referenceability. We aim to do this by offering not only an excellent product, but pairing it with a top-notch service. Today, Ashok is going to share his story of why he started Patagonia Health and that it became a reality, as well as he's going to present strategies and best practices for our customers to achieve success in their daily use of the EHR. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and turn the screen over to Ashok. If you could just bear with us for a second while we change presenters. Okay.
All right. Good afternoon.
There you go.
This is Ashok Mathur. Thank you, Monique, for introducing me. And thank you for joining. I know it's kind of just after the Labor Day weekend, so I think people are catching up, so we appreciate your time. This is kind of what I'm going to be covering. We want to share the Patagonia Health story, how we got started, and what our strategy is as a company, what I as a CEO and co-founder focus on, and share with you some things we have learned with key to successful EHR adoption. We are focused a lot in public health. We've learned a lot of things and we continue to learn, but we want to share some of the adoption successes. We'll talk about the service excellence, how do we achieve that, and some of the outcomes. We are in healthcare, so we should really focus on outcomes. And then I'll hand it over to Monique for wrap up as well. So a little bit of background of Patagonia Health. We started back in 2009, and I will share with you what led us to starting this company and some of the background behind it. Prior to starting this company, I worked for a very large electronic health record software company called Allscript. I was kind of getting a little bit, uneasy with my life. I wanted to discover what I'll do when I grow up. So I took 3 months off and took off on a journey, and I will share the journey. And the journey is somewhat similar to what you might experience if you decide to get a new EHR, whether it's with Patagonia Health or some other company. When I started my South America trip, with backpacking, the goal was to visit these mountains, beautiful mountains on the left, Torre del Paine. These are granite towers sticking out the ground, just absolutely beautiful sight. And when I left my office, it was like felt joy. That's me on the right. By Iguazu Fall, and you don't have a 9-to-5 schedule. You can imagine everything possible, so you're full of joy. But as you travel on the journey, you run into unexpected problems. So on the left-hand side, I was on a 5-day hike with my backpack, and 2 days in, my boots, which were Austrian boots, 30-year-old, gave up, and I couldn't go back. I couldn't go forward. And luckily, I managed to survive because one of the cooks at the chalet I was staying in offered me his old Nike shoes. And they were not perfect for hiking, but that's all I had. So I had to make do and manage to finish my hike and not get stuck in the middle mountains. So there is obviously a lot of fun when you go on a journey, whether it's a journey in South America, in Patagonia region, or whether you start a new journey to get electronic health record. You will have unexpected problems, but you'll be able to solve them, and there will be a lot of fun to go along with the journey. In the end, looking back on my 3-month trip, I traveled with a lot of people. We had a great team. And as people select Patagonia Health, we will team with you for our joint success. Through the bumps and the joys, at the end, we are left with happy memories of my journey in Patagonia, as that's my wife with me. So I think journey of EHR is somewhat similar should you decide to take that adventure to the next step. And we know there will be bumps. We know we will partner and we'll have great time doing it. When I came back, somehow it was very clear to me I got to come back and start a cloud-based, apps-based software company, because the prior company I worked for was 20, 30-year-old software and is very clunky and so on. So we started this company with a focus on two things: the product and service. Product goal was to provide a easy-to-use software using clouds and apps technology. But then we had a senior VP in that company said, Ashok, don't just work on making the product easy to use, focus on making it easy company to work with, because some of the large companies are not easy to work with and not responsive. So we set ourselves a goal of providing easy to use software, which is comprehensive, and we focus on public health only. So we have features after features which are based on the feedback from multiple health departments. And as we know, health departments are very unique. They are not typical EHR users. But the company-wide, our goal is to have 100% customer referenceability. And it's not easy to keep thousands of nurses in public health department happy, because frankly, we make their life difficult by giving the computer. They're people-oriented. They want to help community. They want to do immunization. They want to provide family planning. But they've been given a thing called computer to work with. That's unfortunate. But we try to do everything we can to make it easy to use and get the nurses happy. Luckily, our strategy of having a focusing on public health only and focusing on service has allowed us to grow. We are based in Cary, North Carolina, and we expanded in the eastern half of US 2012 to 2014. And then in 2015, when we had learned a lot about public health, we had the way to implement, train, and have the product, we expanded westward. So now we are coast to coast and growing. And some of the things we have learned along the way, and this is really what most of my presentation is all about, is key to successful EHR adoption. Doesn't matter which EHR you go with, but I think these are the key criteria to make a implementation successful. What I've learned that the EHR adoption is hard. It really is hard for clinical folks. But I keep in mind a 3 legs of school. You need all the 3 legs working for a successful EHR adoption. Product, which is the electronic health record software we have. Frankly, that's the easy part. Once nurses tell us they want the immunization inventory, they want FR reports, they want this, it's pretty easy to code that up. It's software, you can make it do anything and you wish. The other part is the process. Everybody in your health department has to use the system consistently and in the same way. So if you decide as a process that the patient registration will need to enter this kind of fields in the EHR, then if you have 3 people doing registration, they need to do the same thing. If 2 of them does it and they forget to enter some data, then you're going to have a problem with the data reports at the end. So you as a organization need to come with a process and make sure that each and every individual in the process is doing the right thing. It's like manufacturing a car, everybody has to do their job, otherwise, the car won't be right. If somebody forgot to put a screw or tighten it up, it's going to have a problem down the road. So EHR is much simpler than manufacturing a car, but it's the same idea applies. The people is the hardest part. People are people, and some would like EHR, some would not like EHR, and then you have to have the leadership involved to make sure that people have buy-in to the process, and the buy-in process starts actually when you're selecting a EHR. You need to get as many people involved as possible in selection of EHR and get their buy-in before rather than after. So I think what we have learned, the key to success from a customer point of view or the health department point of view is to have a focused and disciplined implementation. Key to success for Patagonia Health to continue to provide service and grow our product and our company is to what we call ongoing user engagement. And I talk a lot about the Patagonia Health component. Before I do that, I do want to share, we have seen different health departments succeed differently with the electronic health record software which we provide. It is not any different than a smartphone. I have a smartphone. I enjoy 20, 30 apps I've learned, but I have two beautiful daughters. They're much younger and much smarter than I am, and they use 40 or 50 apps. They use it much more efficiently. Every now and then they tell me, Dad, you should learn these two apps. It will help you. And when I do take the time to learn and start using them, I find I can get more productivity out of the same smartphone. Same thing applies to your EHR. EHR can do so many things, and it depends how much energy and time you wish to spend to master the EHR. Most people would probably use 20, 30, 40% of any EHR vendor provides. But if you spend a little extra time, you'll get more out of it. And nobody can use 100% of what a company provides in a software. So I don't feel bad if I don't use the other million apps on my smartphone. So some of the things we have learned looking at health departments, and this is what the health departments have told us to be successful, is to organize for success. You should have a leader, a champion, or sponsor. That could be the health officer or CFO or whoever is your leader, who should sponsor the project. Without their sponsorship, it's not going to go very far because you need resources, the budget, and so on. And then you should assign a project manager who's responsible to maximize the value from the EHR. Whether that be at the beginning, i.e. when you're selecting a EHR, you want to definitely look at 4 or 5 EHR companies to create a short list, invite multiple vendors, keep a score, get the users to give a rating on each of the EHR vendor. And so what you're trying to do is maximize the value for your organization of the EHR investment you make. Similarly, once you have selected a EHR and purchased the EHR, then project manager can help you make sure that it's implemented to the needs and you get the training you need for your health department, the workflow is appropriate for you. But we will realize that, as I said, with my smartphone, I've had smartphone for a long time, but every time I spend more time learning, you can get more out of the EHR. So project management job is not done once the go live is done. It is an ongoing discussion. Of course, the supervisors, whether they're in the clerical piece or patient registration or billing or family planning or immunization, need to be part of the team, which would not only select the EHR, but continue to maximize the value from the EHR and usage over a number of years, even after you've gone live. And one of the things that is key to success of any project really is regular meetings of the stakeholders inside your department. What we have found that meeting every 2 to 4 weeks really is very helpful. In that meeting, we can come up with a system, but basically it's asking of what is working well for us, what is not working well. And in the beginning, you may have lots of things because it's a big change, compared to what you were doing either on paper or on the system. And you can sort all the issues, whether it's a product issue or it's a process issue or people issue. And, whenever you meet, you keep an action and tracking list so that, you know where you are. And to work with any EHR vendor, whether it be Patagonia Health or somebody else, it creates the top 5 list to work on internally as well as with your vendor. And continue to internally review and communicate with Patagonia Health the information to achieve the objectives you need to. And seek assistance from Patagonia Health. Our team is very much geared towards helping you succeed. And of course, if you're in a community where there are other health departments who have selected Patagonia Health, definitely visit with them because they can help you with the process and people side as well. So just like any other change, you have to have leadership involved, you have to have supervisors, and you have a project manager. These are the key ingredients for your success of EHR adoption in your organization. Now, we believe what we as a company can do is to what we call ongoing user engagement. What we strongly believe is that EHR training and learning does not stop just once we have trained and go live. Maximize full benefits from EHR is a journey, and the more you invest in that journey, the more you're going to get out of it. And there comes a point where I get to a point where, these 32 apps is all I want to learn. I'm getting the most out of it. I don't need to learn anymore. And that's fine too. Everybody has a different view on how much they want to get out of any particular technology. And I talk about our philosophy and what we are doing to go get to the 100% customer referency. What does it really take? And these are all the things we do. And luckily for us, since we are focused on public health, whenever we are doing any of these things, these are relevant to our users and customers. In the prior company I worked for, they had EHR for 80 specialties. So all the communication was either too much or too little or not relevant. So whenever you see anything from us, it's really very, very relevant to public health departments. So just like every other company, I'll go through the list on 1 to 6 down on the top. 1 is support. After you go live, of course, you can call and do a phone call or send online tickets to get any issues resolved. And of course, this is one-on-one communication and it's customized for you. One of the philosophies we do have is that we come out and train you on your site. By doing that, we get to know you and your workflow and your nuances. Every health department is different. They're not all the same. We get to know the personalities. And so when you call, we know a lot about you and you know us. We are a fairly small company. So you get to know us or you get to know our trainers, whether it be Felicia, Debbie, or Lakeisha, or, you get to know us by name. So that makes it easier when you reach out to us to help you achieve your goals. We also started a monthly newsletter, I think 3-4 years ago, where we have tips and best practices. Tips on how to, use the system more effectively. The tips come from based on if we get a lot of support ticket in one area, then we realize obviously people are struggling with it, or our trainers tell us, hey, this feature people are not using, so why don't we share information? And we share best practices, like what is working for one health department versus another. We share that information. And that comes out every month. Personally, for me, there are cartoons at the way at the bottom. I go to the cartoons first, and then I come back. Then we have start a user focus group. Once we get 5+ customers in a state, we start user focus groups, which are every 4 to 6 months. And these are really run by users in the state. We'll talk about that. We also see user training webinars, which are every 2-3 weeks, specific topic. And again, since we are public health focused, they're related to you. We also use a search section. So we talked about 5 ways people are interacting with us. But you know what? We find that every time we talk to a customer or a user, they have great ideas on what we can do to make their life easy, which is great. So what that really means is we have to not only listen, we have to do something. So we take those ideas and convert them to software updates, which are every 6 weeks. So ideas which came from our users are implemented very quickly. You don't have to wait years to get anything done. So our goal of this user engagement is listening, improving, and delivery what users need. And it goes well beyond typical EHR company, which get you live, and then you're just dealing with support, which is item number 1. Again, as Monique mentioned, if you have any questions, feel free to put in the chat box, and we will pause at the right time and give you answers. Support is one of the good things we have, apart from the phone. When you call somebody in Cary, North Carolina, would answer your phone and help you out. But we also have a little button, blue button, like what you see on the left, called support. You click that in the EHR and a window pops up and you can write a message. Not only that, you can take the screenshot. You were on this family planning encounter note and this is what happened, and it'll capture the screen, and that helps us identify the issue as well. It's pretty modern software. We also have knowledge-based library where if you wish to, you can do the search, and there are articles which will help you. Of course, you can call as well. So as we mentioned, we get to know you and we provide personalized service to you and your agency. I talked about the newsletter. We love to share the county health department news. If you have any news, please do send it to us. And we talk about any user-focused webinars or user-focused groups, EHR enhancements, so on. Again, it's very, very relevant to you because that's where we focus public health. As I mentioned, that if you have 5 or more health departments in a particular state, we are fortunate we can organize user focus groups where we will send a trainer or experts over for 1.5 days to your state. The users organize them. Generally, they will hold it in one county health department, and other county people can drive locally. That way, it saves you travel time and it's easily accessible for your staff. Users define the agenda. They'll say, they'll poll all the counties in that area, say, hey, what help do you need? Are you struggling with billing? Are you having a problem with patient registration? Do you have a problem with immunization, TB, communicable disease, whatever? They define the agenda, they define what the problems are, and we send the appropriate trainers at no additional cost. It's free. So our goal is to continue to talk to you, share information, get you up to speed, and allow you to learn more things at no additional cost and no minimal travel, all local travel for your staff. We did a user satisfaction survey about a year ago, and one of the things people came back with, and not surprisingly, hey, you've got so many features, I don't know how to use them all. And every 6 weeks, we have new software coming out, new features coming out, and then how do you learn that? So based on the feedback, we started this 1-hour webinars where our trainers would go and give training on webinar, make it easy, nobody has to travel. And if you register for those webinars, we'll record them and send it to you. So in case you're not able to attend, you'll get those. And again, it's very, very relevant, specific. It's not like a big EHR company where they're talking about things for hospitals or cardiology, which are not relevant to you. And this is just a list of some of the webinars which are coming up. Again, you can see the variety, again, is based on the feedback from all of you, all of our users, what kind of things we talk about. And as part of continuing to learn, listen, and improve, we did a survey. We had amazing feedback. And based on that, we created a new educational webinar series, product enhancements, and we are launching a new survey in September, actually, just now. And we read and analyzed each and every comment. We got over 1,000 comments. And the key thing was, one of the questions people took time to respond to was, what 3 things would help users get the most out of their EHR? And they're really great idea. And as I said, when you're listening to people through different forums, you have to do something, obviously. You can't be just listening. So we do software updates, which includes feedback from support tickets. Of course, there are bugs. We fix those as well. Any feedback from support tickets, user focus groups, we get a lot of that good ideas in person. We have ideas of ourselves. We are always looking for how do we improve productivity for our customers and health departments. For example, now we're working on a feature where you can scan the driver license and it automatically upload that information in the EHR. What that does is save the patient registration some time. It'll increase the accuracy, and it's just all about saving a few minutes here and there in a busy day. We do know health departments are not flush with money. Any productivity gains they can get are much more welcome. And of course, when you have more and more users joining in, we have to make sure the product is performing, and our IT people keep doing enhancements as well. Of course, now regulatory compliance is something we commit to providing at no additional cost to all our customers forever. So federal regulations came up with meaningful use about 2009 and 10. We went through the 2010 certification for stage 1. 2014 we did the stage 2. Now our team is very busy doing stage 3. Again, we provide all this at no additional cost. I know some of those companies charge you for every upgrade they do. And of course, every state, being public health, is different and they have their own nuances. So when we get a customer state, we make sure that we are compliant to the needs of that particular state. But bottom line is really we are focused on user-driven software enhancement. And since we are public health, whether your health department requested or not, chances are the enhancement we did would be applicable and beneficial to each health department across the country. And we have tried to keep the cost very simple. You sign a 5-year contract with us. We give you a fixed price per month, which you can budget. And we don't try to sell you more things or charge more money. Whereas if you look at some of the contracts of other EHR companies, like the one I worked before, they're pretty complex and they have a right to keep charging you for every little thing they do. So why do we do this? So as you said, we talked about starting the company with the vision of having an easy-to-use product and 100% customer referency. So what are the outcomes? In healthcare, we do want to know what the outcomes are of that strategy. And we have a award-winning customer service. 2 years in a row, we have won a very, very tough Stevie Award for customer service. We know we are not done. We know all the thousands of nurses who are in the system are not happy every day. So it's a journey. We are willing to work with our users to deal with the bumps or frustrations they may have, but we do continue to strive and make changes. So I think that has allowed us to continue to grow. So I think we are very convinced that our investment in all those 7 things we do, or 6 things we do, which you can see as a company, we could be saving a lot of money if we did not do item number 3, 4, 5, or 6. And we know companies are like that. They make money up front and then you're left to yourself. So we believe our strategy is working by the fact that customers are recommending us to other health departments to join Patagonia Health family. So I think that's kind of a background, a little bit history about Patagonia Health and why we are so strongly believe in service. As you go through your journey, product is fairly easy to evaluate. There are bits and bytes. Does it do this? Does it do that? But what we have realized in public health, more so in other segments, service is key because you go to user base and public health is very demanding. You have grants coming in, you have audits going on, you're short of money. So we work on all those things to continue to invest to help health departments achieve their goal. We'll take questions. Monique, should I pass it on to you now? Or?
You can just leave it right there. We can just chat.
Okay.
I don't have any questions on the dialog box yet, but if anybody does have a question, feel free to just go ahead and type that in. Meanwhile, I just want to ask you a little bit about maybe some of the consultative services that we didn't mention in the presentation here, but we do offer, for billing consultation, what Debbie does and things like that. So maybe you could talk a little bit about that, Ashok.
Yeah, good question, Monique. So what we have found is that once you go through the so of course, one goes through EHR selection, then you go through purchasing and doing the contract. Of course, then we configure the system to meet each health department needs based on the information we collect from them. Then you go and train them on site and go live. But we have also observed that after 6 months of go live, there's a pattern, right, where they struggle. Initially, there's a struggle on how do I do this in billing or how do I do this in registration because it is slightly different than what you were doing before. So Debbie and Felicia, who do training, would be in touch with you to help you continue to answer those questions because they visited you. 6 months from now, then I think what people struggle with, oh, this is great, I'm entering all the data, how do I get the report I need? Of course, there is report training we do, and there are webinars and stuff, so we hold your hand through that process. A year from now, you get to the point, okay, now my team is doing well. I think my everybody staff is somewhat comfortable using the system as we expected. A year later, the question comes, what else can I do to maximize value out of my EHR? How do I make it better? I know everything's kind of working, but I can get more out of it. If I looked at the process, how I'm doing patient registration, how I'm doing data entry for clinical, how I'm doing reports, how can I get better? So we do offer those consulting services on one-on-one basis as well. I call them workflow optimization services. So we can do that, and luckily, when you have 5 or more health departments in the state, you get that by us coming out there. But you can buy them depending on size of your organization. We are more than happy to come and customize workflow optimization for you as well. Did I answer the question? I think it went a long way, but
no, I think so. But it's fun to see customers realize an increase in revenue because of those services that are offered. So there are no questions at this point. So if you are in the process of selecting an EHR, I really hope that at this point you've got some really good ideas and some tips and best practices from Ashok's presentation today. If you have any further questions at any time in the future, you could feel free to contact us at info@Patagonia Health or at any of the information on Ashok's slide there. If you're already in communication with one of our sales guys, you can continue that dialogue with them directly as well. Again, thank you very much for joining, Ashok. Thanks for presenting today. And we hope to see you guys at future presentations. Thanks very much.
Thank you.